Oh, don't miss that. God, oh God, again.
There goes YouTube, Facebook, Periscope.
Oh, Tony pulled it off again.
He pulled it off.
I don't know how he does it.
Looks like Facebook
Okay.
is online.
Okay. Applebox Network.
Search Applebox. Oh, I got Asian Island girls.
Nope, no Gary. No Gary.
You too, Tony?
No Gary.
No Gary. No.
Oh, there's live. Okay. No Gary. That's cold. Okay, so I'm here, Bernie, and then
Yeah,
where do I share?
I'm still trying to find live myself here. Hold on me. Hold on.
2 viewers.
Oh, 2 viewers already.
That must be me and you and Tony.
It is, actually. That is who it is.
Oh, I gotta turn that down. Okay. Oh, share. Share to group.
Everything looks active.
Okay, I'm sharing. Put it on my news feed.
I'm sharing to everybody now.
Yep, do it.
Oh, Brian Schreier's active. What do you know? Leave, Nate. Okay. 4 viewers. We're amassing.
Are they? We got 7
of the 7 now.
Good, good.
Woohoo! Keep it coming.
Yeah.
8.
But is he dancing to the music?
Yeah.
Good, Adam. All right.
So you don't keep it on your this on your page, Bernie, like this?
Oh yeah, I will. I will. No, I will. Yeah. Ah.
I was thinking about bringing in 2 masks.
You can't bring him into the duel. Yeah. Gotcha. Do your thing. Do your thing.
I can get you guys at all in, well, not him, but I can get a picture of you two.
Yeah.
And individual pictures. So, I've got plenty of
Good.
We love resources.
We love resources.
We love resources and supply chains.
Well, you know, that's another thing is the port of LA is like down. I mean, this is like, maybe there won't be any more toilet paper.
Oh, that's right. It all comes in from somewhere else.
Oh, yeah. My position good, Tony? Sound down. Yep, well, no, not you, my phone.
Have you ever had 12 viewers before the show started?
I've never had 12 viewers before.
Really?
Ever. No, I have. Yeah.
Oh, God.
I think people are fascinated with this topic.
Yeah. Shut down. Hey.
You've got some great posts with like a list of things that people should be doing.
14?
Yeah.
Make sure you run through those.
Okay, okay.
Those were great.
Yeah,
Get it.
will do.
Hey, 1 minute, guys.
What's the most you ever had?
Oh, 60. Oh, no.
Oh,
I used
before
to-
the show started? Oh, before the show
Oh,
would
n- oh, no,
Before
no.
the show would start.
1 minute.
20, 30? At least that's what I tell everybody.
We're addressing the nation.
Yeah, we're addressing the nation now. Ay, ay, ay. What's in store for us, Gary? All right. Coming on the
We're
close-up
doing the elbow
cam.
shake, right?
Yeah.
Elbow shake to start us out.
Yeah. Mike's hot. Okay. Hey everybody, how you doing? 2 o'clock, Friday, gotta be Burnie's Applebox. And I am here with my main compadre,
Yes.
Mr.
yes.
Gary Heimann.
Woo!
Gary,
Elbow it is.
elbow bump, elbow bump. And we soon will be joined by the legendary Adam Richlin of LIGHTBULB Grip and Electric from New
Yes.
York City. And Adam has got a lot of news on our subject today, which is shut down.
Shutdown time.
Shut down, shut down. This is out of the blue. You know, we did a show, Gary, probably a month, maybe 2 months ago on the unexpected.
And here it is.
Little did we know we would be revisiting that subject so quickly.
Amazing.
I think everybody's heads are spinning right now. I know I've lost some sleep this week. Just wake up in the middle of the night and you're going, oh, I didn't think about that. Why, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen there? Let me tell you something, folks. We're all in it together. We're all in it together. And we have to keep our heads and act as a collective group here
Absolutely.
and make sure that we're taking care of each other, okay? Nobody is sliding by this. It is the greatest equalizer maybe that I have seen ever in my life. You can't buy your way out of
Nope,
this.
nope.
You can't advertise your way out of this.
Right.
You can't even really truly protect yourself
It's true.
any better than anybody else can. And, you know, we have to, I mean, there's a lot of things, a lot of people are worried. I'm worried, you know, but I'll tell you where I'm coming at it from this time in my life, is I'm not as worried as I am determined to make it through it.
Right.
You know, it's not that, I've been posting a lot of things, but the one main thing I've been preaching for the last 2 weeks is don't freeze up in fear.
Right. That's the
Don't
worst you can
put
do.
your head in the sand. Don't also, let me just say this, you know, some of us have, you know, I mean, I'm an alcoholic. I haven't drank in 32 years. I don't often talk about that.
Right.
But when you're under pressure and stress like this, sometimes old habits and things can come back up.
Sure.
And that is your area of escape. Really acknowledge that if
Yeah.
you're having problems. Don't be afraid to talk to somebody, get into a group, do a counselor or something. And really, I want everybody to know it's okay to express your fears.
Yes.
And one thing that I said, and I'm going to read them out here in a little bit too, on 10 things I gave everybody to do on Facebook that talks about it. And one is help those who are terrified.
Yes.
Because there are people who are in circumstances and situations
Beyond their control.
way beyond their control. I mean, I always go back to, maybe it's like a standard thing, but I always think about the single makeup artist with a couple kids at home. She's got to juggle her schedule anyway, like crazy, you know.
Right.
The kids are, I mean, one of them's always sick one time or another.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And you've got school issues, and she balances that all out. Now she's got some time and there's no work.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
I go back to that. We're all in a bad place. We have to work together on this. We will not
it's a must.
survive as a community unless we do.
Yeah, I agree, and I just want to thank you for having me on the show, Bernie. And
Of
and
course.
I'm glad you're in good health. You're back again.
right
That's what I
back-
like.
right back at you,
And
brother.
a quick shout out to Tony.
Tony,
Keeping
yeah,
it all
Tony-
together.
Look, Tony is the guy who actually pulls this show off.
Yeah.
We literally just sit here and go, "Really, Tony? Is
We're
that
just
not gonna work?"
dressing. We're window dressing.
I go, "What?
How does he do this?
Hey, Tony, can you put this on?"
Done last minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At the
yeah.
last possible
Yeah,
second.
yeah. Well, I was afraid to wait till 3 minutes out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least 3 minutes.
So yeah, thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
But
Appreciate
and
it.
Adam Richlin, and you know, Adam is such a resourceful guy. I've known Adam for years. We share a birthday too.
Oh, no kidding.
March
Wow.
15th. So make sure we wish Adam a happy
Oh,
birthday.
soon, and
very soon. Yeah.
and for you, Sean, out there, happy birthday to you, buddy. On unlucky Friday the 13th
Okay.
today.
Yeah.
Or lucky, I'm not sure.
Yeah, but so and Adam is somebody who always has such great resources. So we're gonna tap into Adam, and we're gonna find out what he's got going on. Is Adam there now, Tony?
Come on,
Let's
reel
see.
him in.
Let's see. It's somewhere.
Come on, Adam.
I got a
Where are
feeling
ya?
it'll just
Come
pop
on.
up here.
Yay!
There he is. Yes. Adam, how you doing,
Hey,
brother?
everybody. Good. It's another fun day in Brooklyn.
Yeah. Another
It's
fun
been
day
a
in
little quiet for the
Brooklyn.
winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, if Adam was only 30 years older, he'd be my twin.
That-
You know,
oh, that's right.
Yeah, but he is just like me. He owns LIGHTBULB Grip and Electric
Very
in
cool.
Brooklyn, and you know, I mean, I'm so impressed with what he's done out there and what a hustler the guy is. He is always on top of it and does great
Absolutely.
social media.
Absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
and really is I so admire him admire you talking to your community, Adam.
Yeah. I put a lot of work into community building. I think it's a really important thing, and I think now is a time when community becomes really important. And helping everybody keep some distance and thinking about this issue and figuring out what resources are available from the community that they might not know about. I'd love to talk with you guys a little bit about that stuff as well.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Give us the feel, Adam, what it's been like for you out there, and what has the trajectory been up to this point? I know we're a little different animal. We have different weather conditions and out there, but just give me a lay of the land out there in the last, say, 2 months.
Yeah. Okay, so in New York, it has been, traditionally the winter is a lot quieter. And so we'll see a big boom through the summer. And then I know usually by the time we hit Christmas, for January, February, March, it's going to be a lot quieter. That's our time when all of our little independent films shoot and passion projects and stuff. But the bigger commercial work and the bigger shows are not as busy. My market, I don't tend to see as many big, like union, massive multi-truck shows. Those tend to go to much bigger houses. I can't blame them for that. But so that market does continue, but that's kind of a little bit separate from me. Most of the things I'm seeing are branded content, music videos, short films, like projects that are 1 to 5 days long. So it's been a somewhat quiet winter, but it kept going for January and February. Everything was good. And then in the last couple weeks, though, everything has started either pushing their days back or just completely canceling. So I've been quoting a lot of stuff coming out of LIGHTBULB Grip, but it also has led to a lot of cancellations. In New York, there are a lot stricter rules at the moment about not gathering, not taking any transit you don't have to, because we deal with a lot more problems with public buses and subways that we are a lot harder to contain these issues. I think in LA, everyone's dealing with cars, and so you guys are a lot more segmented to begin with, but in New York, everyone's really a lot more on top of each other, so they're trying to minimize the amount of time that people are out, and so shoots just in bulk are canceling and pushing back 2 months, 3 months. We'll come back to you in the summer. So it's been an issue. I've been talking to a lot of other rental house owners, and everybody's kind of staring at the wall together and not really sure what to do with it. So I've been trying to work on being proactive and figuring out what can we change, what can we move forward with, and what the best steps are so that it's not such a surprise if this thing continues for a little while. I think that's what we should all be talking about, is how to make these issues, how to turn these huge, big fears of these issues into achievable little steps, and figuring out what processes we can put in place to make sure that we can mitigate as much of the damage as possible to the community.
Yes, I think that's very well put, Adam. And, you know, I want to talk too a little bit about your community, because I know I was sitting at home and I heard that, you know, they advised everybody in New York not to take public transit. Right. Well, New York is public transit. I mean, that's the equivalent for us of them shutting down half of the freeways.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I thought that right there was, I mean, one of the biggest disruptors that could possibly be for your area. Mm-hmm.
The other issue is that studios aren't interested in having 75, 100, 200 random people in their space, and then either getting their own staff sick or getting other people, or you're getting blamed for illness. And so there's a lot of this is economy of fear, more than it is actually real issues. I think some of the steps that the city and the government are taking are a lot based on real fact and trying to mitigate risk, and with a clear and reasonable plan. But I also think that some of the stuff that's been happening on the client side hasn't always been based on exactly real issue and real risk mitigation. Some of it is just fear.
Yeah,
and so
no,
how do we
I agree.
How do we make sure we're making educated decisions?
Yes, no, I completely agree. And you know, one scenario I've been thinking about, because this is the way the workflow goes for me, is that yes, the production company may be all ready, and we could bring a small crew of 10 to 12 people out to do the project and do that. But at the back office, nobody's in the office.
Right.
No, you know, and they put a travel ban on anybody going out anywhere, because we get so much out of state in the winter, obviously, you know, that's been put down. And really, it is the climate of fear. It is the climate of fear. And I'll tell you something. I've seen a lot of people react to fear in different ways. One thing that I have seen, and I'm just going to go men and women here. Right. You know, men, what I've seen, have a tendency to react is like, oh, that's so stupid. Why are they doing that? You don't need that. The World Health Organization, who are they? You know, I mean, they're just, they always put it as like, oh, that's such a big, huge overreaction. You know. And this is very much generalizing, I understand that, but the women, I feel like are fleeing back to, you know, that you know, we have to be more careful, we have to be more cautious, you know, and I honestly, I understand, I guess in my head, why you would err on the side of overcaution, especially with public safety. Right. You know, could you tell somebody, oh yeah, you can ride the subway, it's not going to be any problem, just take the bus or do anything. And also, I mean, if you're trying to get rid of a contagion and one person gets it, how many people can that one person infect? You know? So I think that we have to all deal with ourselves individually and decide that we're going to make rational decisions and not emotional ones.
Yeah, and Adam, thinking about making the right business decisions also concerns me, because whatever we do for business at this particular moment might reflect on you months and years after.
I think that's a very good point, Gary.
Cancellation rate, cancellation fees, I don't know. That's going to have to be... you're going to have to put that one up in the air right now and really make some critical decisions which way you want to go.
Well, let me just say this before you speak to that, Adam, is that the word has turned into postpone now.
Yeah.
Postpone, but nobody knows when it's going to happen
Right.
again. So nobody wants to say cancel. Everybody wants to say postpone. You give us your thoughts, Adam.
I think, yeah, postponing is an issue. I wonder where when this work is gonna inevitably come back to us, but I think it's gonna take a little while for this whole system to work its way out. And I think spending the time to plan prudently with your finances to make sure that you can weather this storm. Not everybody's going to be able to. And so now is a time to start thinking about, if you're looking to grow and looking to expand, how can we start making plans for when the work comes back to hit the ground running and not still be stuck bandaging your wounds and trying to figure out what just happened with this tornado, when some other people in the market may already be having a social media plan, getting back out there, getting in touch with all their old customers, ready to make moves.
Yes.
And so what do those moves look like for you in your market? And whether you're a single freelancer and you're just sitting on your couch right now, or you're running, from my perspective, running a rental house or running a studio, there are moves that we can start making and put into action that don't cost anything. They're not burning any of our capital, but they are using our time prudently to make sure that the second this stuff passes, and it will inevitably pass, we're more prepared than everybody else to get back to work and to claim new territory that other people may be leaving behind because they weren't able to keep up, or they weren't able to weather the storm themselves.
Yes, well put, well put. That you raised so many good points there. I think one of that is the fact that when you're in the middle of a crisis, it's really easy to not see the forest through the trees.
Right.
Because every little
Yes.
every step is a stumble.
Sure.
Everywhere you turn is a roadblock.
Right.
And I think it's so important. And you brought up social media. I'm going to want to speak to that directly. And one thing I've been posting about, and maybe I'll get to some of my posts too, and just talk about some of the advice I have given, is one thing: call every client you have had in the last 2 years and ask them how they're doing. You're obviously not going to ask them about work. Just find out how they're doing
on a personal level.
Yes.
Sure.
Because they're, number one, if you want to be top of mind with somebody, and we all do, start growing that community. Get back in there. Find out how they're doing, what they're doing, how they're handling it. Maybe you'll learn something too, as well.
Information is key in all of this.
Yeah.
Because we're dealing with the unknown.
The unknown, yeah.
I think there's also a big portion of genuinely caring about your community. And the thing that you're asking people to do is to reach out and care. And in a time when people are siloed and feel that they're afraid of other human beings because they might be contagious, well, we're all still people, and the internet and telephones and email still exists. So now's the time to try to be a human and appeal to other people's humanity as well.
Yeah,
and so
there are
a lot
Adam,
of people that are weathering the storm who have a lot of pressure to make it sound like, oh, we're doing great, everything's fine. I'm sorry to hear you're not doing well, but I'm doing great. And it's not always true. And so giving people the space to vent and to have a moment of realness can build a better relationship that lasts a long time. And it's not necessarily just profitable. It's about profits and companies and and that sort of stuff. It's those relationships last for a long time. I think the last time we really dealt with something like this was 9/11 and reaching out and seeing how's your family doing, what's going on, are you okay? I'm not talking about company. I'm not asking you next time you're coming to rent. I'm not asking you checking up on old invoices and stuff. That's not the time for that. Let's just talk about us as humans and say, how are you doing person to person?
Yeah, you're a smart man, Adam. You're a very smart man. There's no doubt about that. and not knowing when there's an end time, not
Right.
knowing really when the bottom's going to fall. There's something I want to say about social media too, Adam, and that is, you touched upon it. It's like, look how good I'm doing,
Right.
and like me some more.
And like
Yeah.
me some more.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And believe me, I'm the guiltiest practitioner of that. I don't want to try to say. In fact, I've got a video, a thought leader video out there right now that starts off is, I'm a liar.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm saying I do lie on social media. I am showing you what I want to be. I'm showing you my best part. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I am not showing you 12 at midnight when I'm looking for fuel for my truck. And I'm not a happy camper then. So I think that we have to, and I think that's a really, really, really good point, is become more honest with each other on social media, and just say, look, it's not all fun and games out here. We are real people in real struggles.
Yeah.
And
And I
doing
think
that.
just a lot of social media is about, look at me, look at what I'm doing, or has been in the past. But
Yeah.
now maybe we start taking a look at just flipping the narrative of how are you and how are you doing.
Yes.
And so it's not like, that issue about like lying and making everything look great and like, look how many jobs we're doing and stuff like that. Yeah, that stops becoming an issue really quickly when we start talking about how are you doing.
Yes.
Like, how's your market? And that little change in narrative costs us nothing, doesn't take any more time. It's the same thing that we're already doing, but it
Turning it,
Yeah.
it gives you a chance to interact with your market in a very different way.
Yes, and humanize. You know what I mean? You're humanized. Your friends are humanized, and we can say that something. Life. Look, I'll tell you something. I'm not breaking any news to anybody here. I know that life is hard. Life is
begin
hard.
with,
It's tough. You, Adam, Gary, myself, Tony, we get out there and we bust it every single day.
have
And
to.
I'll tell you, without even surveying Adam on this, I can say every one of us goes to bed at night questioning whether we did the right thing or we made the right move, or if we missed the boat somewhere or something like that. It's tough. It's tough. Nobody has the full answers.
Right.
Just keep doing it. Just keep on doing it, and don't hold yourself to this high, lofty, unrealistic standard. Just do the best job you can do every day.
So right now,
And I
we're
think
at the
a big
stage
portion.
Oh, go ahead, Adam. Go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, go ahead, Anna.
Oh, I was also going to say, sometimes in our conversations, you were discussing before some of the differences between how men and women are handling it. I think one of the things that I often see echoed in how men are handling this issue is this bravado, this need to say that everything is going great and
Yes.
I'm doing fine. And sometimes taking the moment to be the first one that's vulnerable in the conversation and saying, you know what, I'm not doing so great right now. How are you doing? And opening up, spending the time to consciously open up in a conversation will help you have more honest conversations with your fellow freelancers, your fellow business owners, and with family. So take the moment in that conversation, or as we have a lot of these conversations over the next few months, to make sure that you're giving everybody else a place to be open and vulnerable. Very often, if we spend the time to do that, to put those words into play first, and to put those emotions into play first, it's a lot easier for somebody else to jump on the conversation that might feel the need to, hold up their shield. It gives them a chance to peek away from that shield and open up to you. You might have a different conversation with them than everybody else has managed to, but a much more real one.
That is so true, Adam. I have noticed in my own interactions with people, and you're a leader, I'm a leader, I know Gary, Tony, everybody's a leader in this room. When you do give people permission to express themselves, more honestly, I've always found somebody takes you up on that.
Absolutely.
Rarely.
It's a gift.
It is. And I think that's a really good lesson for all of us, who, no matter where you're at and what you're doing, You know, if you're honest with people, I can assure you they are going to come back and be honest with you, and they will be, and you will be the better for it.
I think so
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You know, so taking business by the horns now.
Yeah.
We're in this situation.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do right now as freelancers, as business owners? What do we need to take a hold of at this point? What's the direction?
Well, Gary, you
I could
have
talk.
segued. You
I
segued right
figured
to
that.
Adam.
I'm a
I'll tell you,
seguer.
yeah, you are the. You see, this is why he's worth every penny. I pay him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's zero.
Yeah. So Adam, I know, has information and some very good information. And Adam, if you want to start into that and go over some of those resources, I think that'd be a great time.
Wonderful. I'm going to ask Tony if he can drop their group of links into the chat box for everybody who's watching. The first link that I've got that we found is a great group of freelancers from across the country that have put together a list of accessible resources for everybody, whether you're a music composer, a dancer, a filmmaker. They're commonly accessible items that are either free or low cost. There's in this list, let me just pull this up. There are access to resources, everything from therapy through like financial grants, and the COVID-19 preparation worksheets, emergency preparedness, access to lawyers, emergency funding, and then also more market-specific content about local relief and grants, and then groups that are working city by city across the country, from Boston, New York City, Minnesota, Pittsburgh, to see what things are available to you. And I think a big thing that we tend to see in this panic is this huge huge fear of a big cloud of this issue, but no specific like what can I do right now. And so I think this was a COVID-19 freelance artist resource.wordpress.com is a great place to start for individuals who are tuning in. Churn through that list, and then also I ask everybody to be part of the community, and at the top of the list there's an email address, and you can send in ideas if you can think of something that's not on this list, or sorry, there's a form at the top of the list. If you can think of something that you've found that's not on the list, share it with everybody. It might not be useful to you, it might not be useful to your neighbor, but it might be incredibly useful to somebody in Minnesota. And so I encourage everybody in this time, this is not a time to build walls and to hoard things. I think the toilet paper hoarding is the stupidest thing ever.
Yeah. The toilet paper hoarding. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. And so I think there's, so let's share those resources. There's also, if you're running a small business, if you're running a studio or rental house, if you've got employees and you've got rent to deal with and overhead, you might also try reaching out to the Small Business Association, which is a federal group that offers small business loans and grants to help in these situations. So in general, the Small Business Association is always writing loans and grants for businesses, and has been doing that for many, many, many years. And they get executed through your local banks and your local financial institutions or private lenders. And then the government is coming in and backing those loans and saying that even if this small business goes under, we'll make sure that the financial institution is covered. And that way they're willing to loan at lower rates than they normally would. Now, in this case, in this market, there is a special section of the Small Business Association, or for Small Business Administration, I should say, that is dedicated to disaster relief, and they are helping underwrite grants and loans with much lower rates and much longer payoff times, because they know that this money is being used just to keep companies alive. This is Lifeline resources. So in New York State, they are not offering any access for it yet. It's dependent state to state across the country, depending on what your governor, if your governor has declared a state of emergency in that state. So in New York, they've declared a health emergency, but they haven't declared a general emergency, something like that. So we're still waiting for that to become available. But It's worth everybody spending the time. There's a phone number in this link in the Small Business Administration's disaster relief site to call in and ask, am I eligible for something? Are there resources that are available for me? And I have found their phone staff to be very helpful. They're asking statistics questions about different companies as to where you are, what your economic situation is, what your losses related to this this outbreak, and then they'll gladly tell you the resources that are available for your market and what they can recommend in your area. The third link that I've got for you guys right now is a link for New York City specifically for the small business. It was a small business support, I believe. Let me check the. 1 second, where was it? And that link is available for New York City area freelancers to be able to ask for support from New York City. What's it? New York City Small Business Services is the group. So you can fill out an application if you can show designated or a dedicated loss directly related to the coronavirus incident. They're going to ask for financials, and at the moment they're just asking for a survey in general to see what the issues are, and they're particularly looking at restaurants and service industry folks. So I think now is the time for us to fill out that survey if you're in New York City and try to sway that group to see how large the issue is for New York companies. So if you're in the area and you want to fill that out, that would be really helpful and help us show to New York City and New York State that this issue has been hitting us hard as well.
Wow, that's
great info.
That is great info. You know what, I think, and now I'm probably speaking to myself more than anything else, you know, I've always been a guy who just, you know, really came up by the seat of my pants. I never had any, you know, parents or relatives that owned a business.
Sure.
I started out as a gaffer and collected gear, and then backed into being a business person.
Right.
You know, I have a lot of pride based on sort of coming from a poorer background that I have made it myself and I have done all this. But to anybody who may have some of those same issues, I want to tell you this: do not be afraid to reach out for a hand.
Absolutely.
Do not
Now's
feel
the time to do it.
ashamed. Yes, now's the time to do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's proactive. It's planning ahead. It's being organized, and it's knowing that asking for help is not a source of weakness. Now's the time to reach out and see what's available, because if you can bring more things to you, and you can better prepare your boat, you're more likely to weather the storm.
That's Adam, that perfectly put.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, as we all know, government is a lot of red tape, and especially getting loans.
Yeah.
So get it in process now. Don't wait till it's too late.
Yes.
That's the key.
Yes.
Because at the end, if it does get better, quicker, hopefully,
yes,
you can always turn the loan down.
Well, yeah, if that's the case.
If that's the case.
Or buy a new truck.
Your
worst case scenario is you got a loan.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you know, if you've got a low interest
at 0% interest.
Look, that could be a really a real game changer for somebody.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean, in their business. So, yeah, let's you know, keep it, but please don't hold off.
1 second?
Yes.
Yeah. Gary, just to clarify in your statement before, it's not necessarily 0% loans. So the Small Business Association is offering 3.5% loans.
Oh, 3.5%.
And then New York City's SBS Services is offering 0% loans.
Oh.
So that's because we're looking at a national market right now. I just want to clarify those things so that doesn't.
Great.
Still, getting a 4% loan is a great thing.
That's cheap money.
Absolutely.
That's cheap money.
For
Absolutely.
independent, single freelancers or sole proprietors. But there are still a lot of resources in that first link that we posted earlier that are available for freelancers. And there's a freelancers union, and there's a bunch of other groups that are offering services and resources and grants.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
That's awesome. You know, just in general, tell us what your process has been through, Adam. I know you're a take charge guy. That's very, very evident. You know what I mean? But for your own process, what has it been like you? What has the worry points been for you? Have you frozen up, or have you felt like you didn't have a way to go or anything like that in this whole process?
Yeah, I think. I mean, let's talk about vulnerability. Yeah, the first thing I did was have an oh shit moment, and I froze up. And I have a wonderful fiance who helped sit me down over the course of the last couple nights and say, okay, what can we do? And that's where these links that I'm giving you are coming from, is us sitting down and researching, and that helped give me a sense of not necessarily security, but at least the feeling that we're moving towards fixing the problem, and
Yes.
a better sense of the land that's around us, a better sense of the resources that we have to work with. And I was like, okay, now that I know what's in the room, I know I can start looking at what we can work with and what we can't work with. And that's when I started feeling like I had a sense of some sort of security in the issue. We've I've seen this coming for a little bit, but I didn't anticipate that it was going to get as bad as it did. I think, like a lot of people, we thought that this was going to blow over in 2 or 3 weeks. It's going to be another winter flu, and life is normal. And then it kept getting worse and kept getting worse. So I'm not going to go into the political end of it, but I do think that there was a period of time, like I could have started this maybe even a couple weeks earlier.
Yeah.
But it's my own bravado for saying, my own false bravado for saying that we could have. I thought we were going to fix this earlier, so it's not as. I shouldn't have to plan as hard as I did.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't have
Yeah.
to plan as hard. And then it turns out I did need to do that plan.
You did need to know.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
did the same thing in 2008. I remember watching the stock market dive and going, oh, well, I'm in marketing. I really am not affected by that. It'll pick up.
It will blow
I've
over.
been working for 2 years. It's
Oh, yeah.
not a problem. And then the market did
And the market
drop out. You know
Sure.
what I mean? So I know that very, very, very well. And I've been
Yeah.
a bit guilty of this in this last round too. I have been predicting something like this, however, just because of my age, I have never seen a 10-year bull market. And a 10-year bull market, I know, there are so many little pressure points in something like that, that when something like this comes in, then you get all of the sore points.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that all falls
Yeah.
out. So I knew
think
that
also
there
everyone-
was something coming.
Yeah, I think everyone got gutsy with this long bull market that we've had, and that it just kept raining work and raining money for a long time, and so everyone got used to collecting checks and
Yep,
smiling
exactly.
and buying gold sofas and stuff. And so now this ornate lavishness is coming crashing down, and everyone's not seeing it coming because. Especially, I know that people from our generation haven't faced an issue like this because from the moment that
Very true.
we've come out, other than that 2008, 2009 recession, the market has just kept churning and kept moving.
Yes.
So now is the first time that we're dealing with this issue, and so it's a surprise to my whole generation. I think I'm assuming that for you guys, if you're a little bit older, that you've seen something like this.
We have seen
maybe not
this
particular
before.
outbreak.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the first time I think a lot of the resources in a lot of the my compatriots in my generation are facing this.
Oh,
So
I
think that's
agree.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we gotta take a look at how we handle something like this so that we're more prepared for the future as well.
Yes, no, very, very much so. And that is very true. I feel like I've been through 3 or 4 of these. I go back to just when I first moved to California. They had sort of the .com, the .com bust was in 2000.
Yes.
That was there. But we had a real estate bust out here in Southern California, which is one of the very first recessions California had ever really faced.
Sure.
So, and originally my background from Tacoma, Washington, where we were very much resource-based economy. So if lumber prices are down, you're in a slump,
Yeah.
right? And if Boeing isn't doing well, you're in a slump, But you know what I've got, Adam? I've got several things that I wrote here this week on social media, and I just wanted to crank them off real quick. So, some are just what we've been talking about exactly, and others are a little bit different. But this is about what to do right now.
Right.
This is about not freezing up and taking action. And there's 10 of them. I'll read the first one here because it's a little counterintuitive.
Mm-hmm.
It's raise your rates on services and equipment by 20%.
Right.
And I know that sounds like probably bad advice, right? You know what I mean? Or
What?
it sounds like my mantra, keep going.
You, Bernie?
But here's my thought process on this. Here's my thought process. Now, you can make a client any deal that you want to.
Of course.
Number one, you can make any choice of how you're going to price something. But I want you to think about something. You're going to be out of work now for maybe, I think we're all saying at least 2 months or something like that. I think that's a reasonable expectation. You need to make that money up when you get back working. Right now, if you raise your rates, there's no pushback at this moment, right? Nobody's hiring you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So no one's hiring you. You don't have any pushback. I'd say get yourself in a position to make a more realistic rate. And also this goes with, for a long, long time in this industry, more and more people have been coming in it, and the actual rates have been reduced.
Yes.
There are going to be when the smoke clears, there are going to be fewer people in this industry.
Oh, guaranteed.
And that is the time to raise a rate.
Yeah.
And just like any company that suffers a loss, they find the way to make that money up. And you're doing the same thing. So I understand that's counterintuitive, but I think it makes some sense. Obviously, cut any business and personal costs possible.
Right.
That means really going over and hashing it out.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. And think of 3 services you can provide not in your current space. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
One of the questions I always love was, what? Go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was just said diversify.
Diversifying. Yes.
What you can offer. Yeah.
Yes, diversify. I've always loved the question to an employee is, if you lost your job tomorrow, what service could you provide that would earn you a living? I think it's time, now our group, the G&E world, the media production world, we're very crafty.
Yes.
I mean, we think on our feet, you know what I mean? We're the hunter-gatherers, not the trough fed.
Right.
We can do things like that. We can think in different ways. But it gets that noodle working again, and you start thinking of different ways that you can go about making a living, even if it's not the one you want to do.
Right.
I say here, don't accept any speculative work. Now, I don't mean that as if your friends want to do a project when no one's working and go out, go help them.
Of course, sure.
Yeah, do that. But I'm not, if people, this is the time where people prey on other people. And a lot of times somebody says, hey, do this speculative work for me. And then they come back and the money's not there, but they've got the work and they're monetizing it in a different way.
Absolutely.
So I say, really hold out for that cash in hand.
Yeah.
Do not do the speculative work.
Yes.
So what do you think of that one? What do you think of that one, just as off the top, Adam?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of praying that's going to happen, and there's going to be a lot of last-minute like loan companies that are going to come crashing in, saying, "Oh, hey, we'll give you lines of credit, we'll do all these things," and then people in fear don't read the fine print on that stuff. I think on your first point, stay true to your customers. I think it's one thing to reconsider your place in the market and the things that you can offer, especially coming out of the dust on this thing. But I'm going to argue that if you stay true and stay consistent, you're being a better friend and more reliable resource to your customers than trying to change your rates in a time when they may not have much capital, because I'm willing to bet their business is hurting as well.
No, I wouldn't disagree with that. I say this is the time to really review that. You know what I mean? Especially if you've been in a lower part of the industry. And mostly I don't want people to forget that they have to make up from this. And I know there's always a tendency, and I think maybe I'm too LA centric on this too, because I've seen so many people flood into the market who've gotten out of film school or whatever, who are working for like 150 for a 14, you know, and
Yeah.
I mean, that's the stuff that I see is just killing us as an industry, doing that. So I mean, take these with a grain of salt. Take them as they affect you personally. Like me, I don't need to raise my rate. I mean, for what I make is a fine rate. I'm not going to raise equipment prices. I'm good there because I've had a good stewardship of that all the way through. You know.
Yeah.
So I would say that, but okay. And here's the next one I have is call every client you have had for the last 2 years. We talked about this, and ask how they're doing. You know, and stay in touch weekly. Make sure you're staying in touch on one form or a text or a messenger or whatever in some way with that client and that person. Let me not call him a client. Let me call him a person. You know,
They're people.
yeah, they're people. They're people. Absolutely.
Let me jump in and say also that list over time will change, and it's interesting to keep a running list of which of your customers are willing to have that connection with you, and which of these people are not as interested in doing so.
Yes.
And the people that are willing to have those connections are probably better people in terms of understanding the relationships in the industry as well. If they're in a position to be able to talk about this stuff. And so those are the relationships that are really worth holding on to. So when you're saying calling back, it's not just necessarily calling everybody. It's keeping that list and going through it and who's willing to talk
Who's
with
willing
and work
to?
with.
Yes. I think that's a very good point.
Relationships really, you kind of like blow on the ashes, or was it blow on the embers and help build a new fire. And that way when we're coming out of this mess, we've got a lot of bonfires burning, and we don't have to suddenly, like, there are going to be a lot of people who don't necessarily understand this process who are going to come at this after the situation is over and start trying to build new fires then when you've already got things going.
Yeah, no, I absolutely. Let me just ask Tony. Tony, do we have a question?
Kind of a statement, but let's go with it here.
Yeah.
There we go. Bobby Fever kind of writes in, just spent 4 hours at 3 grocery stores. I'm concerned highly about Crafty for any projects coming up in the next few days. Markets are epic at the moment, so
Yeah.
bit troublesome.
So he's been in the grocery store. He's been through the battle zone there. My wife and I went to the store last night for really nothing more than just to get something, kind of pick up extra for dinner. God, we walked out. I mean, it was insane.
Well, as did we. We
Yeah.
went to Trader Joe's just
I
to
think
do normal
this is-
shopping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is fear-based reaction, and this is not going to last forever. We don't have an issue at the moment in the U.S. with food supply. We don't have an issue with resource supply. We have an issue with hoarding. And so the thing is, those people are going to take themselves out of the market. There's only so much you can hoard. And so if you give this a week or so, it is going to pass. And people
agree.
are going to get back to more regular buying habits because hoarding is an unsustainable economic process for the people that are involved in it. The people that are out on the edges of it just need to wait for it to pass, and resources will be restocked. It's a different economic situation if you're looking at, like, let's say toilet paper production has ended in the U.S. and so you're trying to grab the last that's made because there will be no more. But the plants that are making toilet paper, the plants that are making hand sanitizer, or fruits and vegetable suppliers, they all still have access to all of these resources.
Yes.
So they will replenish it because it is. I mean, they're doing great business right now. They're going to keep this system going, and they're going to keep providing those resources. So let the hoarders work themselves out of the system. They're going to realize that it's a silly process and stop buying in that fashion.
Yeah, run out of money, right. Tony says run out of money.
Or space in their living room. Yeah, either one.
Yeah. You know what, and I'll tell you, I just in the store last night, and maybe because I'm really not that well traveled, but I thought, You know, over shopping and stocking up is such an American response to fear. You know what I mean? It's that like I
Yeah.
want my
Yeah.
stockpiles there. I want my stockpile. I want that this home
Me
is going to
first.
be my
Me
fortress.
first.
Me first. Me
Yeah.
first. You know, and but no, it's so that. Let me just get through these real quick, and I want to take that other comment too, Tony. The next one is I really like. It's remember how powerful you are. Okay, if you're making a living in the media business, you've beat most everybody in the marketplace. You know, so you have skills already ingrained. You have a personality that can get out there and get along and make do. Just remember that about yourself, because you're a powerful person.
Another thing about freelancers is that we're really used to dealing with constantly changing environments, and we're used to dealing with wildly changing schedules and organizations and team structures. So
Yes.
we're actually quite well set up for dealing with disaster situations.
Yes.
I've pointed out a couple times before, and I know Wade Quartz and I have work together on resources for figuring out disaster relief, because filmmakers make great emergency response teams. What do we need to do? Where do we need to go? Okay, let's do it. We're used to dealing with that situation where people who are used to desk jobs and have done the same thing for 20 years don't necessarily know how to handle those things.
That's
we're,
right.
We're better organized for it.
Yeah,
How
no,
can we
I
put
think
these
that's a
resources to
very
work?
good point. Very, very
Yeah.
good point. We don't need to take a meeting. We just do it.
Yeah, we just do it.
Yeah, yeah. You want what? Where? Okay.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah, right. Let's get it done. Yeah, next. You know, free hands. Post content on social media every single day. That's what I mean by staying out there, keeping the forward facing, always. Don't hide. Reach out to friends, have a group, and I say this, find your group of people, find your tribe, find your 5, 10 people that you can easily talk to and exchange information with and you trust.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because that is so important. People will come at you all the time with different information, and it may or may not be good.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
And the next one I have is, we've talked about this, help friends who are terrified. There are people who are absolutely freezing with terror right now. They may not show it, they may not be, but you'll find they don't react. They're not taking proactive positions. And the next one, number 10, is just show leadership, which I know we all have, and I'd say encourage that, showing leadership. You know.
Yeah, showing calm under pressure is a big thing, and making sure that you're taking care of your flock. And I think that started out as a like a religious term for priests and stuff, but in the same way, every one of us has a flock of people that we're both responsible to and responsible for. And even if you're a freelancer, you've got family, you've got friends, you've got clients that you've worked with. All of those people, if we take a moment to make ourselves accountable for helping make sure all of those people also help make it through. We can't, I mean, you know, it's impractical to try to save everybody, but are you putting in the work to try to do your part and see how much you can help?
To your immediate people. And remember too, this is something else, Adam, people always look up. There's people that look up to you, to myself, to Gary, because they're looking at him, seeing how is that individual handling the situation. And you can make a big difference without even saying a word.
Absolutely.
You know.
And just acknowledging people, saying hi, just try to treat the day as another day.
Yes.
And not overhype the situation.
Treat people nice, and don't be short. You know,
Don't be short.
that's what. Tony, do we have another comment? I'm sorry, Adam, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say also, how do you make help feel accessible to other people? And for me, like this conversation and watching our viewership online is a big portion of us getting that conversation started. But how do you make that help feel accessible? And because that can help reduce fears and calm people down a lot of just knowing what's available.
Yes, no, I think that's really, really great. I think that's really great. What do we have, Tony?
What do we got? All right.
What do we got?
Let's see. Oh,
Picture in picture.
double picture in picture in picture.
Woohoo!
All right, Sebastian, who is watching in
Sebastian, I know Sebastian.
Switzerland.
Sebastian's a
Yeah,
very
in
good
Switzerland.
friend.
Thanks
very
for watching
good
all the way in
friend.
Switzerland. I know it's 8 hours
Absolutely.
ahead, give or take. But he actually mentions, and I'll paraphrase. Sorry, your English is almost there, but we'll see what we can do here. We hope to get better support than you have in Switzerland, because since day 5, I've lost 65% of my income.
Ooh.
We have insurances and support, but not for freelancers or small companies. They're being directed by the same person. So their government is saying that they need to go and take out loans, which are at 1%, but that's about the only support that they can get for them right now.
Yeah.
He's in good shape, but he's going to lose in about 6 months.
Well, yeah. In 6 months, I'll be out before that. But no, Sebastian, seriously, just hang in there, buddy. That's number one. I know what a pro you are. I know how you love the industry and how active you are in it. I would say immediately, without having an immediate answer for you, I would say get out with that problem right there and make it an issue.
Well, going one step further, Sebastian, is maybe contacting the lenders you have loans with at this time.
Yes.
And just let them know
Yes.
that there's always a possibility your monthly payment might be a little late or a little under,
Yeah.
trying to spread it out,
Or even
your
ask if
financials.
you can do an interest only.
Oh, yeah,
Interest
exactly.
only,
Payment.
and not take it on the
Right,
payment. Yeah.
right.
Because that's
One of the things.
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. One of the things that he brings up in his post is that he has no debt and he's clean, and so he may not have an established lending organization. So
Yeah.
I will tell you guys, I'm in a similar situation where we've built all of LIGHTBULB on our own assets without loans or lines of credit. And so I'm now facing a similar situation where we're going to the government. They're asking me about my lending history, and so I think. Disaster relief loans are going to be different than accessing general financing loans. So a good place to start is a company credit card to show that you've got money moving and that you're responsible with your money. And then after that, it's getting into getting a regular business loan. But for the moment, if your government is saying that they're offering 1% loans for disaster relief, go for it.
Jump
It
on
costs
it.
you nothing to apply.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I shouldn't say that directly, but in scale,
Application fee.
whatever the fee is, it costs you nothing fundamentally to apply. And if you get something, great. If you don't get something, you make a different plan.
Yeah.
But the cost of entry to make an attempt is so low. Just do it. Just do it. And
Yes.
if you get something, great.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
the lineup for the loans might be shorter now than in 2 weeks when
Yep.
everybody starts feeling the pinch.
Yes, that's very
It's
true.
going to be shorter
That's
than
very true.
tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Shorter than the next hour
No,
from now.
Very
Holy
true.
crud.
Very true.
Wow.
Yeah, and I would just say, too, be out front. I think, for somebody who is out there and maybe has started in their business and it's been good, but you never had to step out front, really, this is a time for a leadership position to come and go and be able, because I know how active Sebastian is in his community.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And this could be a good time. And I'll tell you something that I have never done before, but I am doing in the last 6 months. Since AB5, we've had this nightmare called
That
AB5
was our first flu.
out here.
That was the first flu.
Yeah.
The first second.
That was the first downtime. I am contacting and want answers from my representatives in government. And this is the time I would say, everybody, if you don't like what's going on, don't just sit there and say, oh, that's the way they always do it. They're going to do that. You raise hell.
Yeah, absolutely.
You raise hell.
If they don't hear anything, they
Yeah.
must think everything's okay.
Yeah, exactly. Don't be afraid to call. Don't be afraid to email. Have your friends email. Encourage them to do it. If you don't think that people are doing the right thing.
Right.
You
I
know.
agree. I totally agree, Burn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam, give us
with you.
some
I'm
closing
with you.
thoughts. Give him some closing thoughts here. We're just a few minutes out. So let us
I
know what
think-
we should be thinking.
Yeah, I think it's the time to sit down with a notepad for everybody and make a to-do list for uh, what your expenses are, what things are that you can stand to live without, and how you can reorganize your finances. Figure out your burn rate. Burn rate is a concept in business of if I stopped making 100% of money right now, no new business comes in, given how the fixed expenses that I have every month, how long can I keep going with this? So I don't think we're going to truly hit zero income. Jobs are still happening, gear is still moving, people are still making movies, but it's definitely not what it was. So knowing how long you have to last, and then also, so that's looking at the bad side of the situation, but then looking at the positive side of the situation, what other resources and capabilities do you have to offer? Make yourself a list of all the other things that you could do that seem like they're profitable right now in this market. What other jobs could you be taking? Maybe they're not the most glorious things in the world, but there are other jobs available that are going to pay well. And so that's a little bit of the negative and the positive. And then looking out from yourself in a social perspective, we talked about earlier, looking at all the people in your community and all of your friends, all of your family, all of your coworkers, all of the people you considered clients and or trusted clients. Reach out to them as people and spend the time to ask them how they're doing on a personal level, and not just about business, not asking about finances, not asking about like, you owe me an old invoice or something like that. Leave that stuff for later. It's spend the time to connect with people as people. And I'll just rehash that because that one's a really, really important one. You stoke those fires now, you spend the time to grow those relationships now, and then when this thing passes, those relationships are still there, versus trying to wait, trying to rebuild those relationships after this passes, and then you're behind the curve. So what can you start doing to get ahead of this curve? What you can start doing to be proactive? Take a look at the lists of links that we posted in the comments earlier, and go through those and figure out what works for me, what helps me, and what can I use to grow. Now is also a great time to look through those links and see if you have friends that are in a similar situation, or links that might apply to those friends, and pass these things on. Be a giver, be a supporter, help grow that network, because sometimes just spending the time to give will help build those relationships a lot stronger and a lot faster, and help keep the good people that you like alive. And help them make it through this. Not every business and not every freelancer is going to make it through this storm. And I'm not just talking about like catching the virus or something. I mean the financial storm that we're facing right now in business.
Sure. No, Adam.
I think that's the majority of my thoughts. Yeah.
No, that's so succinct, dude. I really, really appreciate that, and I know everybody does. I will tell you, Adam, thank you so much for coming on today. We really needed this. And
I'm happy to help.
Well, and I know I want to do more. We talked about that, so there'll probably be more coming from this team right here. And together we're going to beat this. So don't worry, folks. And Adam, thank you once again. Thank you very much.
No problem.
All right, and for us, that's it.
That's it.
So that's been Burnie's Applebox, and we will see you on set one day. Cut. That's a wrap. Killer show, dude.
That's called the missing high five.
What'd you think, Tony?
Good.
I think it was a good show. I think it was a good show.
Good.
Is he still there?
I don't know. Can't quite tell. It looks like he froze. Yeah, so he might be.
He probably had to unplug, man. He probably had 3 or 4 things happening. And I know he had to do something special. So I wonder how we did.